Yeah, we can start right now. You ready, Josh?
Yeah, let's bring it on, man.
Okay, so kind of just want to get you, we're the Philadelphia Bitcoin Club. We have obviously here's some of our members here. So I kind of wanted to see if you can give us kind of just like a general overview, and then you can kind of talk us through the plans that you plan on moving with BitRefill, what you guys are currently doing now, and plans moving forward, and kind of simple steps as to how getting a user on, and then have and opening up for some dialogue at the end, because I know there's some questions. I know for some people that couldn't make it today that they had wanted me to ask you, so see if we can open it up for some answers. Probably take no more than 30-35 minutes of your time here.
Cool. First off, let's go Phillies. Let's whoop some Houston ass tonight, man, for sure. I want to see those guys go down. A little bit about myself. I lived in New York City for 20 years, just moved to Charlotte a couple of years ago. And I so wish I would have gotten into Bitcoin before I moved out of New York, because there's just so much happening on the Upper East Coast that's would just be such a joy to be with you guys at some point. Hopefully our paths cross. Still have tons of friends up there. So it's my mission to get up there at some point. A little about myself, though. I got into Bitcoin like a lot of folks. I'm class 2020. Shit hit the fan with everything in 2020, and that was a quick wake up call. I think my spidey senses were already going like something's just not right in general with the Fed and all this kind of stuff, but I didn't really have any sort of answers or conclusion of where I should be focusing. A good friend of mine who had been kind of throwing some Bitcoin stuff at me here and there. It was just kind of like water on a duck's back. It wasn't sticking. It was just like, yeah, it's cool. 2020 happened, and I was like, tell me more, And so he quickly shilled me all of our favorites like Breedlove, even Pomp and all this kind of stuff when Pomp was putting out mostly Bitcoin content. And it was just there was no second guessing. As soon as I started diving into that, it was like, this is it. And I don't have to even question it further. I'll figure it out as I go. I FOMO'd in extremely hard, probably recklessly, according to my wife, for sure. And but it was just kind of one of those, this is sink or swim kind of moments, and I don't want to waste any time. And I figured two things. One, I'll gain conviction and I'll gain knowledge the deeper I go, but I have to have skin in the game to do it. And it had to be skin that would hurt if something doesn't go right. And then second, about that conviction, I knew quickly, that things were on the up and up with Bitcoin. I need to have conviction now. This is a high. Things that go up can go down. I need to have conviction so that when the boat gets rocky, I'm not thrown out. And so that was kind of my two missions going in. And I'm definitely all in Bitcoin. I love the community. I love obviously what Bitcoin brings to community as a whole. That's just a little bit about me. Well, actually, I'll say too that one thing I really love about the Bitcoin community so much with these meetups, and why when I got onto BitRefill, I found out that they were sponsoring a couple of meetups on the West Coast. And I said, listen, my side project, I want to focus on Bitcoin meetups. We need to do more sponsorships. We need to really get involved with what the community is doing. And the reason for that was because when I moved to Charlotte, we have family down south, but not in this area. I needed friends and friends quick. This was after COVID and things were weird, like just trying to find friends would not be so easy. But Bitcoin Charlotte was there, and it was just like friends at first sight. You have people that you can talk in depth with, but also people that you can just talk surface level stuff about. And so that's why I have a passion for the Bitcoin meetups. I truly think meetups are what is going to orange pill the nation and the world. There should be a meetup in every city, no matter where you travel. You should be able to pop into a community and have instant friendships with folks and instant connections. So kudos for what you leaders are doing, because I know it's a tough gig at times to juggle this kind of stuff plus your regular life. So I think what I'll do is I actually have a little slide presentation. It's really quick, but I think it answers some of the stuff that you were asking about. I'll see if I can present, and if I can, we will try. Let's see. Just bear with me for a second to figure this out.
No problem. They have the share screen at the bottom.
Okay. Let's see. Ah, yes, looking right over it. Disabled for me, but that's completely okay. Um, I can really just kind of go over it because really, like, the platform itself is super simple, and you know, it's
It's
kind of
open.
divided into. Is it
It's
open
open.
now? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
you can.
Yeah, let me give that a shot. Let's see. Hang with me, guys. One sec.
No problem.
All right. Unfortunately, my preferences aren't set up, so it's gonna kick me out. It's totally okay because luckily, like, really our platform's super simple. But um, the mission really for us is to have a Bitcoin wallet in every person's pocket. I mean, we already know that we bank digitally anyway, so having a Bitcoin wallet in everyone's pocket where they can move sats and Bitcoin back and forth, be the Lightning Network or traditional Bitcoin networks, we want to make that super simple for folks, and our devs work really hard to make that happen. Um, I guess our company mission is really to be a one-stop shop for anything you could possibly need. Right now, living on Bitcoin is still somewhat of a pipe dream, with all the regulation and stuff that we have. It's difficult. And so our platform is really just an on-ramp for someone who wants to use their sats, come through. Let's say you want to buy an Amazon card, Airbnb, you want to book your flights, whatever it may be. In fact, I just booked my parents' flights for the holidays, our Airbnb, all that stuff, and did it paying with Bitcoin. And it's kind of fun to send that to my mom and say, "Hey, booking is all done." And she sees and she's like, "You paid in Bitcoin?" I'm like, "I sure did. I paid in Bitcoin for your flights." And I think that's part of, like, the orange pilling. Now, my parents are 75, so I don't expect them to be crazy hodlers like us, but it's still a way to kind of put it into their language. A little bit more about BitRefill, just so that you guys know. They're OGs in this space. The founders have been started BitRefill in 2014, and really, I think they can be proud to say that they're the undisputed leader in consumer Bitcoin commerce. We have, I think, let's see, just for the US, some kind of US statistics, we have over 5,000 cards just for the US. So just about anything you could want to spend um, your Bitcoin on for something, we pretty much have it. The only stuff that we really don't carry would be like Visa and MasterCard type gift cards, because the red tape on that stuff is just ridiculous. But over 5,000 cards for the US. Right now we have storefronts for 180 different countries. So this mission of orange pilling the world and giving everyone an opportunity is a clear-cut mission of something that we're trying to accomplish. And on the customer service side, so that's what I do. I deal with customer-facing issues and making sure the customer experience is something that's pleasant. I absolutely love, every day dealing with people from all over the world, be it Hong Kong, India, Turkey, El Salvador, you name it, and seeing that these people are spending their Bitcoin to buy goods and services, and they don't need a bank to do it. And I think that's pretty dope. Most recently, we, as you guys know, we launched the bill pay service in the U.S. We pre-launched it in El Salvador first to kind of test that market out, and kind of get our bearings right on how that would work. Now you can pay over 20,000 different bills in the US. So if you want to pay your Comcast bill, your mortgage, credit cards, and that's probably what most people do, is they buy stuff on their credit cards and they just pay off their credit card bill with their Bitcoin, because it's kind of just super easy to do it that way. But that's just going to continue to grow. And if you guys have feedback on any of that stuff, if there's a bill you're wanting to pay, you don't have a way to do it, you don't see it on our platform, let me know. We're constantly working on that. Any questions on that stuff or anything you want to add in on that?
Yeah, one of the questions I think you answered right there was some of like the Visa and like Master, instead of just like the the normal gift cards. Obviously, you said there's red tape, so obviously no need to go in length into about that. But one of the issues, somebody was curious about also as well, for the withdrawing sats, like if they get rewards, not having the ability, is that something that they plan on in the future? Maybe having like,
Yeah.
they can, is it just planning on just keeping the Bitcoin on there? How does that work? Or is there any plans on changing that in the future or, down the line?
Yeah, that's the conversation that comes up. We have a bi-weekly company meeting, and it's a conversation that is pretty much said all the time regarding customer feedback. Is That's a huge pain point for us, and I say it's a pain point because I think we know for now we're trying to keep just trying to keep the economy and within BitRefill and get people in the mode of using this service and earning sats, and but getting in the habit of making that circular economy of actually using the Bitcoin for a goods and service. I'm not on the back end of those conversations, so I can't really say yet whether or not they will in time. But it's a conversation that literally is a bi-weekly touch point. And yeah, and I saw someone had asked, are there any rewards for bill pay? There are not any rewards for bill pay. Now, we had a promotion going with Strike. They rug pulled us and stopped that promotion without telling us. And that upset a lot of people, including myself, because I like any type of rewards I can get, I want to get it. But being that, yeah, like you said, that 0.99% fee, we're taking a hit on bill pay, truthfully. Bill pay for us is not it's not a profitable service that we're doing, but we just know that it's such a game changer that we're willing to take a hit on every time someone is using that service. That's okay. We know it's one of those things that will continue to grow. And, when we first started out, we were, the fee was a little bit higher. And again, we reduced it as soon as we saw that that was a limitation for folks. It was, all right, let's just take the haircut and just lower that fee as much as we can. One thing I'll say about that differentiates using our gift card service versus bill pay. There are two things that kind of separate that. With a gift card, you don't need a BitRefill account. So a lot of folks use our gift cards by just, all you need is an email address. You don't have to KYC, throw an ID, name, phone number, none of that stuff matters if you're just buying a gift card. With bill pay, there is a KYC process, but that's because we're heavily regulated to make sure that you're actually a US resident, because it's that tight of a window for us. So I know that's a pain point for a lot of folks having to KYC. If you're comfortable with that, then you can use the bill pay. But again, if you're just using it for the cards, an email address is all you need, and it can be a throwaway email. So a lot of folks will do that as well. One thing I'll say, yeah, as far as making a purchase, we make it super simple. But the platform is really designed to be quick and efficient. You select the product you want, you go to checkout, you select whether you want to pay Bitcoin, Lightning, however that may be. You select the wallet you want. And right now we have, oh my goodness, we have just about any wallet you can think of. And ones that pop up, we instantly throw them in to give you really any sort of way. Like the other day, since Strike puts limits on, I mostly use Strike when I'm doing with Lightning. But as we know, they have restrictions on how much you can have in your account at one time as far as deposits. Using your ledger, if you want to do it that way, or however. Blue Wallet is another one I use a lot, Moon, those guys. But really trying to create like a super smooth rail for making that purchase. I mean, it's near instantaneous. You know how the Lightning Network is. So yeah, any questions on that? I wish I could show you the slideshow, because I have a quick demo, but there are, if you just even YouTube, Strike and BitRefill, I think there's some YouTube videos people have posted up of really how quick and easy it is to make that purchase.
Now, also for somebody who's wondering, you guys are any plans in the future like to accept liquid Bitcoin? I know this is non-US entity. I know US citizens can't can't buy it per se, but those who interact with that protocol or that federated chain, will you guys plan on integrating with transferring using liquid Bitcoin, or is that just not? Is it mainly just going to be Lightning and on chain?
Yeah, right now it's just Lightning and on chain. I'm sure those conversations are being had. Again, I'm not privy to them, so I don't really know. It's such a great question. That's one that I'll write down too, because I like to come back to our team with this kind of stuff, um, just to find out, right? So the more information we have, we can pass it on to you guys. But at the moment, not that I know of, but again, just not part of that convo.
And what are some of the things, because prior to me, we had, kind of, the conversation was kind of wrapped around like a circular economy. Obviously, depending on when, certain individuals got into the Bitcoin space, obviously, they're taking a haircut right now. So what are some of the things that you see where people don't necessarily, they're trying to work themselves up to a whole Bitcoin and,
Yeah.
obviously it's a little painful, to, spend, obviously the amount of units sats that they're going to have to disperse. But what are some of those obstacles or, some of those, discussion points that you've seen from other groups from, or, that internally that you try to work and try to get people to understand where, Bitcoin, obviously, hodling is obviously you're utilizing Bitcoin in that aspect, but, you know, there has to be that demand for Bitcoin for Bitcoin to do the
Yeah.
things that we want it and expect it to do. So what are some of those things that, maybe you can express with the group that you guys even see on your end?
Yeah, it's such a good point. And I tell you what, it's something that's been on my mind quite a lot. The good friend of mine that orange pilled me, he's in his 70s, believe it or not. And so for him, it's huddle, huddle, huddle all day. And it's been like this slow process to kind of combat that a little bit. And I'll kind of give you my personal thoughts with any sort of investment strategy, right? So just like I would with trash cash, it's I'm going to I'm going to save, I'm going to invest, and I'm going to spend, right? Like so, I can't just always spend my fiat on stuff. I have to save some for rainy day and for investments, et cetera, right? I look at Bitcoin the same way, and I hope this conversation is something that can be had on a broader scale about a circular economy. Because to your point, hodling is just one aspect of the strategy as far as I see it. The way I typically do it is if like for the flights for my parents, I spent that Bitcoin and immediately repurchased that amount of Bitcoin that I spent, immediately repurchase it. So my stack actually never diminishes. And that's how I personally look at it. I know that maybe for someone like myself or people in North America, that might be more of a luxury, depending on how we get paid and stuff. So I think the conversation's different depending on where you're at. But speaking to a US meetup, that's one way I look at it. And so that's kind of how I talk to that conversation of going, yes, if we want Bitcoin to really be this like hyper Bitcoinization that we know is going to happen, well, it can't just stay under our mattress all the time. It has to actually pass hands, and it has to go from one person to another, one merchant to another. And that's what I love about like Bitcoin Charlotte. Even we were lucky enough to find a really cool venue that would take Bitcoin, and it was a really hard thing to get them to do it, and they were very reluctant. We got them onboarded, and they love us there every second Saturday, because now we get to educate and be a part. So circular economy, I think, is a big deal. It's if it stays under our mattress and just in cold storage, which the majority of my Bitcoin is in cold storage, right? It's like most of that's never going to see the light of day, at least for a couple of decades, right? But I do have a small amount that I'll just keep, like in Blue Wallet or my Ledger, that I'm allowed to spend. But again, it's immediately repurchasing so that my stack never diminishes.
Now, you guys have any plans on setting up for like node, like just connecting to like node, like doing node payments, or like from if I can just send like if I want to purchase something straight from my node, is it or have to be just uploaded to and any maybe features that you maybe add to like an Umbral, or some of these other different platforms that run node software, to where you can just operate from the custody, just working through your node, kind of just verifying.
Yeah, they are working on that, and we are spending a lot of energy and a lot of manpower on the Lightning side of stuff, just because it's such a game changer for everything that we're trying to do. I'm not talking Bitcoin, BitRefill specific. I mean, just Bitcoin specific is, it's a game changer, right? So yeah, there's a lot of manpower going into that. I mean, we already have set up to where, people can connect their Lightning node and stuff like that. But that's just more or less using our node to help run theirs, et cetera. But making it to where those payments are instantaneous and people can do that. Yeah, it's definitely in the works for us.
Anybody have any questions? You can hop off your mic.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, thanks for taking the time. I'm Alan. Love the product, use it all the time. Just some couple questions / feedback in case it's helpful. You just blew my mind. Maybe I'm dumb, but the credit cards and gift cards are not in the same category for me. So the thought of paying my bills with a credit card using BitRefill to pay the credit, I just searched and saw that, yeah, you got like Chase, and like, I wonder how many folks just haven't even thought that was an option, because you think of gift cards, you think of going to a merchant.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just an idiot and everyone else thinks that way, but you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if that's something people realize they can do. So that's just one thing.
I think it's slow. It's slow going. It's slow going at first. I mean, our bill pay service is such a small portion of what we're doing, but it's really become a hyper focus, because at the end of the day, and actually this is one of the questions I had when I was interviewing for the job here. I was like, hey, listen, and this was to the CEO. I was like, I'm not taking a job with just some shitty ass company. Like, I was specifically wanted a Bitcoin company. And as we know, that's extremely slim pickings as far as like Bitcoin only. But hearing their vision and their focus, I was like, okay, at least I know I'm around good company. Yes, they allow people to use their shit coins and shit like that. And if someone wants to use that, I don't know why you'd want to have it anyway, but good on you. But we'll give you a way to offload it. And I'll say to that as a little caveat, all roads lead to Bitcoin. So if someone wants to spend their Doge because Elon is pumping it or whatnot, I truly believe as Bitcoin becomes such a huge player, they eventually get onboarded and on-ramp to the Bitcoin ecosystem anyway.
Yeah. So, okay. So was that part of, because I assume bill pay was like pay my electrical bill, because I'm on the wait list for that. I haven't seen it yet. But you're saying the credit cards were part of the bill pay?
Yeah. Oh, and I would
okay.
say hit me up to get my contact from Eric. And if any of you guys are on a waiting list, we're pretty much removing the waiting list aspect anyway. We have everything we need. So once someone has an account, is verified, they've done their part. Yes. Yeah, we can get you going. So just let me know.
Free me to be 100%, pay my mortgage and all that. Please free me.
Yeah.
I tried for a little bit. It was tough. Only other thing, I don't know if you've heard this. I have issues all the time with the app crashing because you have to move away from it to like get to your wallet, and then you go back in and it crashes. You reload it. It's every single time for me. I pretty much have just figured out how to do with it, but it's probably an issue for other people who are less persistent.
You are right, and yeah, it's a pain point, and I use the product a lot specifically for that reason, right, on desktop or on my phone. Yeah, it's a pain point, and I see it with our customers too, because like if they're having an issue and then I'm asking them for some information, they don't know how to get back to that information. Yeah, it's a pain point. It's something that we're working on for sure.
Okay, so you're aware of it.
It has to be smooth for people, or because you might be persistent, but if you get someone, which we see this all the time, they're in a underdeveloped country, they might not be as tech savvy, and they get discouraged fast and don't know how to work their way back around.
Yeah. No, I don't really have any other questions. You answered everything. I'll make space for everybody else. Thank you. And I will.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I would love that contact info, Eric, if you wouldn't mind sharing.
We'll do.
Here, well, I'll throw my email in the chat. That'll just make it easier for everyone just to reach out to me. Simple as that.
Hey, Josh, I have a question. I've been using BitRefill for a while. It's great, especially when there's discounts. That's like one of the main incentives, right? Like if you can get more than you'd normally be able to do for making a purchase by getting a gift card at a discount, or you're right, like for a while you could get 5% back for using Strike, and I was paying my credit card bills through that. Like I'm getting married, like I put a deposit down on my venue, like you can get a lot, but like you get a decent amount through a credit card. And then if you add on top of that, you're like doubling the benefit. It's great. Like it was really, really good. And I even figured out how to do like big payments because there's $1,000 limit transaction through Strike. So you like break it up into $1,000 pieces and stuff like that. It was a really cool product. I really, although you have to get Citizens Bank because that's like a Pennsylvania bank. And that was one that I think I tried to do just before Strike stopped doing the promotion, but it was hard to find a product. I think you have a mortgage product somewhere in there, but not the card. But one of the main things that I use it for now, because I can't get that sweet discount through Strike anymore, but through gift cards for things like Amazon and Lowe's, like sometimes you guys have, 5 or 10% discounts on those gift cards. And usually I try to open it up and check to see if there's a discount before making any purchases on some of those platforms. But sometimes it's like come and go for those gift cards. Like for example, like this Sunday or Saturday, I think I bought a hot water heater from Lowe's, which is like $600. And, like 3 days later, there's a 10% discount for Lowe's gift cards. Is there any plans to make it more predictable when discounts happen, or like announce ahead of time? Because I can hold off on some things.
Yeah.
But there's a discount coming. And also I'll add that like I've introduced people to Bitcoin specifically because they're like, how do you get a 20% discount on like, when you guys, I think you were working with Strike at that time too, but I was getting like a 20% discount on Amazon cards. And I was like calling my mom and being like, do you want like a fat Amazon gift card, because everybody uses Amazon, and if you can get 20% off, that's like the best deal on any product you can buy on Amazon, So like, is there any plans to make that more predictable, or like promote it when there is a big discount coming to certain vendors or anything like that?
That's a great question. First off, congratulations, man, on getting married. And
Thanks.
so how that actually works for us is, so we have a series of providers that issue these cards for us, right? And so what we do is they'll actually reach out to us and they say, hey, we're running a promotion with you guys where we're giving you this discount. And so what we do is we just turn around and make that discount available to the customer. And so it's really, it all depends on the actual provider itself. And usually we have like maybe like a couple of days heads up. They just send an email saying, hey, we're reducing this, here you go. And I don't know why they do that. I don't know if they have like overstock, or I don't know that kind of stuff. I'm not too savvy, but yeah, so it's generally a pretty tight turnaround. But I think that feedback is, again, super crucial, and something I'll jot down, because we have hired some key players that I think are going to improve this communication. We've hired some folks that are taking over, actually putting out digital content on our behalf. We've hired folks that are better at producing emails. We're trying to make the communication game so much better. I see that pain point a lot from my end on the customer experience. So that is a loud and clear message that we have to be better when we know something's coming. I guess an example would be even like, shame on me for bringing it up, but even like the ETH merge, right? Like people can't spend their ETH because stuff's happening. And it was just really making sure that we were way ahead of that and communicating to people, hey, there's something that's coming up that's going to affect our platform. Be mindful of this, right? We have to get better at communicating. And to your point, if we can give people a heads up, if it's within our means, we have to do it. So right now it's kind of one of those, these companies play these audibles and we just make adjustments with them. But maybe we can get them better at communicating so that we can pass that on.
Yeah. And there's some times that are heavy spending times, at least in the United States too. Mm-hmm. Like if you could even like set up a collaboration where like you're going to know on Thanksgiving or Black Friday or Christmas that there's going to be discounts, people might wait for those times, and then
absolutely
money to spend, and that plays more towards the circular economy. And I'll use Bitcoin whenever I can, especially when I can get money back for it, because that can turn into sats for me later.
For sure.
Great. And yeah, I could see like me using it a lot more if I knew when things were coming, because then I could sort of like plan around that.
Absolutely. That's good feedback, Justin. So I made a note just about the Citizens Bank, making sure that we have that up and going. See if we have that already. We're in the talks with a lot of these different financial institutions. As you can imagine, they some just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with anything that has to do with crypto, and so they stop us. But we're trying to find workarounds for that too. There's other companies we can work. Right now, we use the bill pay through a company called Arcus. Arcus is fantastic. But just like we have several providers for, let's say, Amazon or Airbnb or whatever, we're trying to build it up so we have plenty of providers for the bill pay service as well, which will open up an even greater catalog of what bills we can pay.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate the chance to provide feedback, and I really like your product and I like using it. So thanks for being out there.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hey, Josh, thanks for spending some time with us today. I have a quick question for you. So you said in 2020, you kind of shifted into Bitcoin. What were you doing prior, and your background, like how did that transition go?
Yeah, so in 2020, I was still in New York. And so like I said, I lived in New York for a couple of decades. I was managing an Equinox in Midtown. And so I had been a personal trainer for about a decade, went into management there. And well, when obviously everything got shut down, my wife and I had already been talking about wanting to move. And it was just like, well, if I'm not going to enjoy the benefits of the city, why am I spending this amount of money for rent, which I think a lot of us can understand living in a big city. So yeah, that's kind of where that adjustment came. So fortunately, I was working remotely for Equinox for the time being, made the move down to North Carolina. But when they asked me to come back, I was like, I don't live locally. So I did some administrative work for some real estate friends. I have friends that are big investors down here. Just did like administrative type stuff just to stay afloat, and but was actively, and I mean actively for it. I think it took about 11 months to find a job. I mean, I was throwing out resumes everywhere, trying to get on with Stripe, get on with Fold, get on with Swan, get on with anyone that I could, and but this road led me here, and I'm glad. I'm happy to be a part of this company, especially if I can be of an influence on the Bitcoin focused side and the meetup side. And I do want to talk at some point, Eric, about kind of how the sponsorships are shifting. But Ren, yeah, that was kind of a little bit of my background. And what's funny is I remember I had a client, and Midtown is such a banking central part of the city. And I remember in 2017, the first time I heard about Bitcoin was a client of mine who was a higher up at Bank of America. And he was like, this can't go anywhere outside the session, but I just bought a bunch of Bitcoin. And I'm like, what's Bitcoin? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I just know that the price is pumping, and I bought a bunch, and I'm going to try to sell it. And that was like my first like thing of Bitcoin. And I just remember thinking, 17 grand, I can't afford that, like, no, I can't, I'm out, like, let me know when it's like $10,
Wow,
I just didn't know that you could buy, you could buy fractions, and but shame on me. But I think that prepared me for when my buddy orange pilled me. It was like, I can buy pieces of this, I'm in.
yeah. Right on. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask another question somebody had asked, we forgot. What are you guys plan on adding more Bitcoin companies? I like, personally, I like to spend my money with, Bitcoin companies. I like to support, maybe like crypto cloaks, or, obviously there's not that many that you guys have now. Or how does that work for like onboarding? You guys take like recommendations from, ABC company? Hey, I'm an avid, buyer, user of, ABC product. Do you guys have like a submission, like, hey, or do you guys just kind of wait for like a lot more feedback, a lot of noise? Or how does that work as you guys work on the back end onboarding new companies? And
That's such a good question. Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, that catalog is small, and it's one that will grow with time, and a lot of it has to do with noise. It's people saying, hey, are you going to make this product available? And something that I send out to, people reaching out to us all the time, but on the bottom of our website page is a suggest a product. And that's so if there's stuff that you guys see that you're like, that's great, but I need Chewy for my dog, then, and you don't see it, make a recommendation. The more times that something kind of comes across our plate and we go, oh, there's actually a need for this, the stronger the interest is going to be on our end to actually pursue it. And we're always open to working with a lot of these Bitcoin companies. I think especially now that we have merged with Bitcoin Magazine on the sponsorship side of stuff, we're going to see a whole lot more of this. And that's a personal objective of mine, is to see more of these resources made available, because you're right. We want to make it part of that economy, but put it back into the companies that are focusing on Bitcoin too, as a Bitcoiner. And so I'm with you on that. Yeah, it's going to come.
You want to elaborate on the sponsorships and like I said, you kind of hit on it right there. If you want to build off of that with what you guys got going on with Bitcoin Magazine, and personally what you're doing and helping us with the group as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was kind of an interesting thing that unfolded, and really it was Bitcoin Magazine approached us and they said, listen, we've noticed that there's a lot of meetups that you guys are sponsoring, and that they're tweeting about you guys, and just curious, like, what are you doing? And so we were able to kind of collaborate with them, and so basically what this is going to look like kind of from here on out is Bitcoin Magazine is going to kind of be the facilitator and the provider of a lot of the sponsorship material. And so on a monthly basis, they'll send the Bitcoin leaders, they'll send them basically a box with, Bitcoin magazines, some of their merch. We'll be able to include a lot of stuff as well, different resources. So like airdrops. So like, as an example, if we wanted to, give your meetup, $200 to spend, you as a Bitcoin leader can sign into your BitRefill account for your meetup, purchase, PA equipment if you need it for your meetup, or whatever it may be, or even use it towards like bill pay. So we have some meetups that rent a space, and they'll probably want to use the funds in that way. So they'll put it on their credit card, then pay their credit card with bill pay. But that's kind of the idea, is just to collaborate with Bitcoin Magazine to kind of cast a wider net. They're already such a well-connected figure in the industry. They're trusted. And so that's extremely huge, is that, even though we've been around since 2014, truth is our leaders were quite humble, and really weren't kind of like speaking up a whole lot. They really weren't making a big ruckus about who we were. They were just trying to lay a foundation of like a really strong business model. But that has to shift, right? Because if we want our business to grow and we want people to be able to use Bitcoin in the circular economy, well, people have to know who you are. So part of that is partnering with Bitcoin Magazine to help us have a greater outreach with the meetups, but also give the meetups a lot more resources. So beyond just like a swag bag, because you might go, well, that's great, but I can only use that for so much. There's a lot that's going on behind the scenes with Bitcoin Magazine to create more resources for the leaders, for the groups to come have conversations, be able to connect with other meetups virtually, so that there's more collaboration. And that to me is a huge part, because it goes back to what I want to see and what I envision of being able to go anywhere in the world to any Bitcoin meetup in any city and have a connection. I mean, what greater family do you have than a Bitcoin family? And so that's in part. One thing that's still in the process, and this might be me getting the cart ahead of the horse, but I'm putting it out there because I want to make this shit happen, is last year at Bitcoin 2022, I was pretty disappointed that there wasn't something for meetups, and in fact, the Bitcoin Charlotte crew, we all went down there together, and they ended up just setting up a random table and was just like, let's connect with some people. And then Sid, who was riding his Harley around, kind of made a faux meetup in the upstairs kind of lobby. So one thing we're pushing for this year is this upcoming conference is to have a dedicated area for meetups, a place where meetup leaders and people in the communities can kind of come, chill, network, and get to know people. Because what was crazy is at the last conference, I'm sitting there talking to all these people who are coming by because they're like, "What are you guys doing? What do you, you know?" And I'm like, "Where do you live?" And they're like, "St. Louis." And I'm like, "There's a meetup in St. Louis." And they're like, "Really?" Like people just don't know to look for meetups. And so if we can start to make meetups more known, that it's something that is in these communities, man, just imagine like the more people that know about your Philly meetup that just have no idea to even look for one. They're just lone Bitcoiners off doing their thing and don't even realize it's available, right? So I hope we can make that happen this year with Bitcoin Magazine. We're pushing them hard for this.
Any more questions out the group? Anybody get off the mic?
Yeah. Josh, thank you for doing this. It's been really cool. I had one question for you. So the way I understand BitRefill is you buy like gift cards from distributors of gift cards essentially, and then sell it to individuals. Do you ever have plans of doing like a P2P marketplace where you'd have people selling gift cards and then people buying gift cards, similar to like what raise.com does?
Probably not. And here's why. Like, I kind of use the analogy of like you go to a vending machine, you put in you want a Kit Kat, you buy that Kit Kat, right? That vending machine is not Kit Kat. And so if you bite into that Kit Kat and there's something wrong with it, yes, the vending machine is responsible, but also Kit Kat's responsible. You know, it gets hairy, and for a couple of reasons. And I know that there's sites like Paxful where you can, like, if you have a card, you can go sell it for Bitcoin. It gets tricky, especially on the customer side, because if something goes wrong with the gift card, who are you going to reach out to? And right. So with us, we are working with vetted providers. So these are providers that, so let's say Amazon, right? You buy an Amazon card, for some reason there's a glitch on that card. It's not functioning properly. You reach back out to us. We're working with the provider who has a direct connection to Amazon to deal with this issue. And so that's the only reason I think that they'll probably keep that kind of the model the way it is. It works, and it's safe for the consumer because you just don't know what's going to go wrong, because stuff does go wrong. And yeah, so right now I think the model works. I doubt there will be a peer-to-peer, but again, kind of like what I was saying earlier to the owners when I was interviewing, how are you shifting? Because one day when Bitcoin is accepted everywhere and you can go to Walmart, your grocery store, wherever, like, how does this company stay relevant once that changes? And so these are things I think that they're always having to think about, and they're trying to look like 5-10 more years down the road, because it's such a changing environment, right? Like the Bitcoin space is it's lightning fast.
Yeah. So one thing I would add to that would be, so kind of what you're doing right now, you're buying from distributors, but would it be possible to do something like, I don't know if you're familiar with StockX.com, they do shoes, they buy and sell shoes, but they're kind of like the middleman where they buy it gets shipped to the StockX first, and then it gets shipped to the customer. So they're acting as the middleman to authenticate the product essentially.
Yeah.
Would that be something that would be possible, or is that too much friction and too much expense to pull off?
I truthfully don't know. I truthfully don't know. But again, I'll add this to I'm making a list of like all this stuff, because this is cool feedback, man. Like, this is the stuff that I don't normally get to hear. I just normally get to hear someone say my card didn't work. So, to hear from the community how we can where people are thinking, you just never know when you're going to touch something, and it's really powerful, right? So I don't know, and I'll be quick to say I don't know.
Yeah, I just think it would be cool to somehow integrate some peer-to-peer, because the circular economy, you want individual transactions to go to other individuals ideally. Obviously that's not always possible, but in something where you could, if a peer could sell a gift card to another peer that's buying the gift card, that would be more circular, which would be
Sure.
a cool feature. But yeah, it was just interesting to see if you had any information on that or.
I don't have insight, but I know who to tap to get to talk about it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, man.
If there's nobody else, any last words you want to leave us with? Anything you want else?
Man, you know, all I would say really is like y'all do your thing in Philly, man. Like just crush it. And it's I make it a habit every time I go somewhere, Walmart, wherever, CVS, to just be like, hey, do you take Bitcoin? I know they're gonna say no, but it's like the way I look at it is like that's the one person who that might be the first time they're even like hearing Bitcoin. It might be the first time. Who knows? It'd be weird if that's the first time, but you just never know. But it might get their wheels turning, right? So, truthfully, though, I really hope that you guys have like crazy success. You know, doing what you're doing, and be fearless about it, and just press on every avenue and every corner that you can. I mean, it's what you're doing is, I always say, you're doing Satoshi's work, man.
Yeah, and definitely, like I said, I definitely appreciate you taking out the time to answer some of these questions. I definitely, I hope people got some of the answers. And like I said, for some of the people that wouldn't be able to make it, I appreciate you allowing us to record this. Like I said, the biggest part, like I said, people, wanting to draw their sats back, wanting to get theirs back. So I know obviously, you said the whole circular economy, and obviously I'm sure maybe there's some plans down the future, but yeah, I know that was like kind of like one of the hard points, when I talk to people, because I use BitRefill as well. So it's like I try to explain to them that, it's still there. It's still your Bitcoin. You know what I mean? It's just, I just consider that's my spendable Bitcoin. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
absolutely.
that's how I
And
look
if
at
not
it.
I'm not someone that's in a silo either, right? So what another thing I would say is, if not BitRefill, find somewhere where you can exercise the practice of spending some sats. Find a local business, or find a Bitcoin company that has something like Cloaks that you were saying. Get into the habit, get into the idea of showing people how easy it is to move this stuff around. Obviously, play within your investment strategy to where it's smart and safe. And I know we're all trying to accumulate and trying to catch up for lost time. At least I am, because I was late to the game, but we're still so crazy freaking early,
I thank you. I appreciate it, Josh. Thank you, man.
Yeah, my pleasure. I really appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Thank you. Hopefully we got some good questions to you that you can take back to the team, and maybe one of these
For sure.
thing or two gets passed through. So thank you.
That's
Appreciate
it. That's it. Yeah, my pleasure.